Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode 73 of the Office Hours podcast. Today, the format is going to be slightly different because I went to quite an interesting event yesterday, and I was just kind of hoping to talk about it. I don't know how long that's going to take, so maybe we'll get to some of stuff that Mo had in mind, but, I'm invoking veto and doing this thing instead.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah, how you
Let's
been,
do it.
Mo?
I've been okay. Woo, look at that. You're asking me now. I've
Well,
been.
since I'm flipping it, I have to ask the question now, right?
Yeah, true. Well, I've been all right. Um, it's been a really nice week for me.
Hmm.
I got like the definition of nice is like maybe you got a lot of things done and weather was good. The plan went well for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been a really nice one. So I'm really excited.
Right on.
I think I deserve giving myself a good weekend, like
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
so
Friday
yeah,
evening and
yeah.
we have really nice weather. It's like really sunny, which is again, we're entering the season where sun outside is like actively messing with the lighting here. It makes it very difficult, but at least it's warm and nice. So
Hmm.
I'm probably gonna go and like maybe photograph something because apparently the weather is gonna turn again on Sunday. So gotta get everything I can.
Ooh, yeah, photography, yeah. You
Yeah,
should,
yeah,
you should.
yeah, yeah.
And honestly, you should plug some of your pictures here because they're really nice. I've seen some of them.
Well, I linked
They're
them to
really
the
nice.
episode, so whoever saw them saw them. But thank you. Yeah, I think I'll do more. So if I
Hmm.
do, I'll post some good ones. It takes a lot of like you need to take like 100 pictures to grab like one or two decent ones. It's like a lot of very low yield type operation. But anyway, that's kind of besides the point. So yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about the thing that I did yesterday because it was pretty neat. I went to the um, Operation Defend the North, which is like a cybersecurity tabletop exercise organized by like a bunch of it's like the main organizer is called CyberX, and there's like a bunch of sponsors who are like in cybersecurity space. And that was a first for me. I don't know. Have you ever gone to anything like that?
Not really, but nowadays I've been like diving into like security stuff, but maybe not that deep. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm really curious
Yeah, you,
to.
you you should check out what's happening over over where you are because it was really cool. It like I wasn't really sure what to expect. So I can't say that I was disappointed because I had no expectations. It was just an interesting thing. Um
Yeah, you're raising my curiosity now. When you
yeah.
say you're disappointed, I don't know, were you or were you not?
No, 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 I was not because again, I didn't have any expectations, so I
Okay,
couldn't really be.
okay,
I,
okay,
I I
okay,
had no
okay.
idea what I was getting myself into. But
Hmm.
it was pretty neat. So the format was essentially a bunch of people who are all fairly high up, like C-level, executive level. Some of them were like chief information security officers. Some of them were like
Hmm.
VP. So high up, a bunch of consultants from like Google Security and some other companies, CrowdStrike, I think, a bunch of others. So
Hmm.
people who do like
Hmm.
cybersecurity every day at a very high level. And they were running this tabletop exercise. So I think there was maybe like 10, 15 active participants. They were like swapping out every once in a while, but the core group was like about 10 people. And everybody else is just sort of watching. So we didn't participate directly, but we were observing the event as it was unfolding.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the point was for them to simulate a company that is getting hit by something and they're not sure what it is. And eventually, with time, like more details come in, and they're trying to react in real time to this thing. And then throughout the happenings, it's being understood that they're like under a cyber attack, and they're pretending to be like a smaller, like tier four telecommunications provider, so like cell phone service and the internet in the
Ah,
province. So like provincial level,
that's
but
really
not like big
interesting.
three. So they're like
Hmm.
smaller ones,
Hmm.
but they do have clients, and people depend on it. They serve various businesses. They serve healthcare. They serve like regular consumers. And basically they're getting hit by a cyber attack, only they don't know it yet, because it kind of starts with like, oh, so some customers are like basically experiencing issues getting on the network. And then as time goes by, it slowly kind of unrolls. And the cool thing too is like the people who are running it, they're role playing. I mean, they're all security professionals, but they're not playing themselves necessarily. So there's like various heads of departments, like IT, network operations center, security operations center, like all of these different teams, like the board of directors, the lawyers, the communication people. And they kind of throw it like a ball to one another in terms of like, okay, where are we now? What is going on? What do we do? And it was ad hoc. So it wasn't like they were reading from a script. It's basically people like drawing on their own experience. They had like some information coming in because there was like a kind of a grand narrative that was slowly being like trickled in. But in terms of their reaction, they effectively had to draw on their experiences in the field to say like, okay, here's what we're gonna do, here's what we're not gonna do. And yeah, it was really interesting. It was basically broken down into these like separate modules. So like the first one, it's like, okay, we're being hit by something, but we're not sure what. The second one was like, okay, we're definitely getting hit by something. Like, what do we do with it? How do we contain it? And how do we get the hackers out of the system? How do we rebuild? Stuff like that. So it was kind of like in various phases. And yeah, it was really quite interesting.
But how do they? I've always been curious, like, you know, this field, like, so were they able to discover what they were being hit by, and how were they able to find, like, how do they think that fast? Because I'm thinking as a hacker, if I'm gonna hit the data or something like this, I already have a plan, so I'm probably executing while you are trying to figure out what I'm doing. I'm like way ahead of you. So like, how long does it take for them to figure things out? And how long does it take for them to actually fix it? And when they fix it, what does that even mean?
Right.
Because
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So like further on into this exercise, judging by the kind of traces that the attackers have left, it has been confirmed that they're basically being hit by like a state-sponsored hacking group. So it wasn't just some random script kiddie dicking around. It was like a coordinated attack on infrastructure.
Serious stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty serious. In terms of goals, it was kind of unclear like why people would attack it that way and not the other way. But in terms of how they figure it out, so like it kind of starts like any other day. You know, you have your alerting and monitoring and everything seems nice. Like you have a couple of servers struggling, kind of going down. But then as time goes on, it starts kind of unfolding, like more and more servers go offline or stop routing traffic and do this other thing. And then they realize that like a malicious firmware was deployed on the routers, and they're like trying to trace back like where did that update come from. They realize that it's not the update from the vendor, like the versioning doesn't make sense. They confirm with the vendor, like the checksums don't make sense. And it's like, okay, they trace it back to like the central update server that has basically access to all the hardware to push firmware updates on it. So somebody compromised that, and then they were able to trace back the credentials of the user. And it's like, oh, this user is on leave. His credential was not properly deactivated while they are on leave. And then the help desk got social engineered, prompting them to like reset their password and disable their two-factor authentication. So they had access to this. They were able to push this like malicious firmware onto the hardware and try to like move laterally to other systems. And it kind of prompts like all of these things. It's like, well, what do we do? Like, how do we communicate it? How do we communicate to the people? Like half a day was basically spent trying to figure out whether or not they have to disclose it as like an official incident. Because for telcos, and I did not know a lot of that stuff because like this is all C-suite level, right? Like I'm just a developer. I know nothing about how these things work, right? It's like they have to coordinate with RCMP. They have to coordinate with CSIS, like the Canadian Security Intelligence Service.
This is police you're talking about.
So RCMP is police. CSIS is basically like our equivalent of like Secret Service. They do like terror threat
This is wait for context. This is still like a role play.
No, this
not
is role
just
play.
like
But the thing is like those are the things that the actual company would have had to do. Like they would
call the
have to.
police.
Yeah. Well, they have to open an investigation into like breach of a telco on a provincial level is like a federal affair, basically. Like they have to get RCMP involved, they have to get CSIS involved, they have to get CCCR involved, and like
Quick question, yeah.
yeah.
I'm enjoying this because I'm thinking about it. Like a few years ago, there was a data breach. I don't know if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like Desjardins. I think he made the news. Like it was really big. Like a lot of people got affected and stuff like this. And I'm thinking, I never heard about like, oh, they made an arrest or something. Like they figured out who was responsible for it. Like, what exactly is supposed to be the role of police, like in this kind of things? When the issue could actually be somebody's mistake clicking on the malware. How do you even find where this thing is coming from? Like, can
Right.
you trace the IP? Or like, I don't think any hacker will leave their IP open for you to trace them.
Well, I think the thing is, maybe for smaller things that are routine, they don't have to. But like in this case, it's like, okay, hospitals are without connectivity, like doctors' pagers don't work, people's badges in the hospital don't work, like, you know, the critical infrastructure is at stake. There's bound to be some sort of federal investigation. And at some point in time, they're trying to understand, like, is there a malicious actor within the company? Like, did they hire somebody recently who is maybe like a bad actor and is deliberately trying to get hired to like do an attack,
Okay.
right? Or if somebody's been like, you know, somebody's going to get prosecuted over this for sure. Because, you know,
Okay.
someone is still responsible. So as I was talking to some of the people at the conference, and like I said, that my key takeaway is like figuring out who's falling on the sword for this one. And even though
Yeah.
it was not like an overt part of the exercise, I'm thinking that like in the real scenario, they're like looking for like who's gonna take the blame for the whole thing, you know? And there's been a lot of like buck passing in that exercise. It's like, oh, the infra didn't do this. Oh, we didn't do this because finance cut our budgets and blah 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 blah. So it kind of kept on going like back and forth. So yeah, no, that was really kind of illuminating of how these things could potentially unfold at that level. So that was really cool.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I would have loved to be part of this kind of like simulation,
Yeah.
but
Well, they're doing
you
them in
know,
Toronto all the time. Well, not all the time, but at least like once a year. So maybe, you know, you can look it up and
for
make a
sure.
trip.
Like, I mean, yeah, if it's this is very interesting. Like, I thought like things like this, like maybe someone's gonna come with a PowerPoint, but if it's like simulated like this, you get to like see exactly how things happen. But now I'm thinking about it, like when you say like someone who's gonna take sword. So let's put it like in the context of like software development.
Mm-hmm.
These days, like I said, like I've been like taking very looking into like OWASP and like like security stuff in this kind of context. And I'm thinking like, yeah, I see, for example, like you could do like some inject some dependencies like into like the application. Or let's not even go through this side. Let's say like for example you open an email and you click a link. So you downloaded the malware. So you as dev or like a employee of a company, you didn't do this on purpose. Like it's not even your fault. I mean,
Well,
kinda, but
that's why there's murder and then there's manslaughter, but someone's still responsible. Like even if you didn't do it on purpose, you're still culpable in doing it, right? Like you didn't have a malicious intent, so you're not gonna get as bad of a deal, but it still kind of happened because of you. So you messed up. You like you have to be appropriately punished for that in a sense.
what happens in this kind of case? Like usually, what do you think is supposed to be like this?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that's kind of a lawyer question because I mean, you have like I think so. That's why I believe RCMP would have to be there to make an investigation. Is because, well,
You're not getting arrested.
uh, Well, you might not get arrested, but investigation still needs to be done. You know, like in US, they have the FBI. Like they investigate crimes that are like outside of purview of police because they're like too complex or something like that. I mean, they can arrest you. They have the powers to, but it's not always necessary. It's more of a determining what actually happened. So, for instance, let's say they can try to pin it on the person, like the high level admin who went on leave and whose credentials were not properly like scrubbed from the system. Maybe they need to be disabled during the leave so they can't have access, even though they're technically still an employee. Like they're on leave, they're not doing the day-to-day stuff, but their credentials were left in a state where they can still be used. So we can say, oh, well, the HR person who was processing the leave did not follow the standard operating procedure and did not put a ticket into the system to scrub that person's credentials from the system. Or maybe they did, and then it's still sitting in the queue of IT support somewhere because it's technically not like critical enough to them for them to just jump on it. Or, you know, so like, who is ultimately responsible in this situation that credential got compromised? Well, the credential got compromised because the help desk got social engineered and they got pressured into like resetting that person's password. Like they didn't check that the person's actually on leave and not supposed to have access to the system. Like, are they responsible for what happened? Or is it like, okay, the engineers who configured the update server didn't have an isolated credential that somebody like manually need to oversee, and all the top tier administrators were able to like push configuration updates and firmware updates to their hardware without like a double key confirmation style thing. Like who's responsible there? Like it's all kind of becomes very diffused.
Actors.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of actors. Like there is a lot of actors in this place. But I was just gonna think about it, like it's difficult to pin it on someone. But maybe you can trace it back to like the computer, or like I don't even know how the tracing works. Like I guess this is what I'm really curious about. Like when I was asking you earlier about how they actually like solve the problem, how did they find the
well, they did
issue?
not find the people. They weren't able to trace it back to like specific people. I think that would be pretty much impossible, right? Because
Were they able to actually trace like like they were, like you said, like they were able to like trace like some of the servers and like look into the server, like which one is not working and blah blah blah, like they were able to say, okay, this is where the issue is.
Yeah.
So now you found the issue. Like what is supposed to be the remedy now? Because to me, I think of this thing like somebody shooting you a gun. I mean, you could go surgery to take out the bullet, but you've still been shot. Like
yeah. No, that's a fair point. That's a really good point. Actually, it's like we can do something about it. So it was interesting too, because in like once you establish that this is an actual cyber attack, like you can't even do much with those servers anymore because they are essentially evidence. So if you like wipe the server and nuke it completely, you're destroying evidence, and like you can get prosecuted for that alone, for like obstruction of justice or whatever. So in that exercise, effectively they had to get a bunch of hardware, like spare hardware, and effectively deploy a parallel system and switch their customers over into it and like retain the original machines so they can do forensic analysis for trace of logs, because apparently it was figured out that even though they have log collection of those machines, some of those logs were tampered, and because of budgetary restriction, the cloud logging vendor or whatever, the retention periods were shrunk, so they were operating on a very like low, like small window of time where they actually had logs. Because basically the guys who were running it, they were like throwing in like all these different curveballs. It was kind of funny because like basically they're playing it out like it's a multi-day affair, but it's all compressed in like one day for an exercise. But it's like, oh, because all of the workers who are working on the servers are like union employees, their collective bargaining agreement prevents them from working longer than 12 hours at a time. So they basically have to go home and they have to find new people to come in and take over. Of course, right?
Of course.
So there's like all of these things that like you're trying to figure things out like as fast as possible. And then all these other entities are like throwing sticks in your wheel all the time as well, like
But
on top of
yeah,
everything. Like you have like the media pressure, the board is pissed off, the CEO on vacation, he's demanding heads will roll and things like that. It's a complete clusterfuck,
oh,
right?
see you on vacation though. Not good. Not good.
Well,
I
I mean,
mean,
he
maybe
went
that's
on
why the bonds are
vacation,
angry.
and during that vacation, it happened. It's not like he knew about it, but he now demands answers, right?
Well, from vacation, it should be at the spot where the issue is. It should be back in office
Well,
like the
right, but
next
like
day.
still, like the situation takes multiple hours to unfold. Like it takes them a few hours to understand, is it just some routine? Maybe there's some sort of systemic failure and there's no threat actors behind it. It just happened because some small thing fucked up and whatever. Like for instance, there were some outages. I don't know if you can call it malicious, but like somebody published some BGP records for like global routing, and like half of the internet got diverted through the small provider in Africa, and everything went down because that provider couldn't really handle all the load. I don't know if it was necessarily malicious, but it was like a massive outage for a lot of companies. Like half of the internet went down for a couple hours until they figured it out. So maybe it was something like this, right? Some rogue peering internet provider pushed a malformed BGP routing table and everything went to shit. That's a possibility. It takes time to figure it out because like you have to get on machines, you have to read the logs, you have to understand what's going on. And in the meantime, your support line phones are like ringing off the hook and everyone's pissed off. It's like, okay, where's my internets? Give me back my internets. So
You
yeah,
know,
it's kind of crazy.
there's something. There's something I'm thinking about now. Like these days, like I've also been like working with like Azure, like you know. So I'm thinking, how does this like um virtual servers actually help in these kind of cases? Like, is it, I mean, do we actually get to have like, does it give us like a some kind of like security, extra security layer? Or is it just as good as like um having like a local server? Like,
Well, that's a good question. I think in a scenario for like a telco, they have to have physical hardware present. Because like if you have a cell phone tower, it's not like you can run a server for that tower somewhere in the cloud. Like it has to be there, right? So they have a bunch of physical hardware that is all over the province, that is all interconnected, that they have to operate. But I guess for like web development, like big website databases, all that in the cloud, it could give you a layer of extra security because before they can, like if it's isolated properly, before they can breach you directly, they have to breach the cloud, and it's like much harder to breach into Google than it is, or Microsoft, than it is into, if you just run your own stuff. But at the same
yeah,
time,
this
in
is what
in
I think.
in this particular scenario, they had like a compromised credential, which is a valid, legitimate credential of like a high-level system administrator with a lot of access. And you don't you don't make the alarm bells go off every time one of your sysadmins logs into the system. Like one of the outcomes they were saying is that like maybe they want to deploy some type of solution that does like pattern analysis and says like, here's what all the other sysadmins are doing, here's like the hours they do it at, here's the type of typical actions they take, and then they look for anomalies. It's like all of a sudden this account starts doing these other things at this other hour that he normally doesn't do things. That can raise alarms, right? But then you have to have some sort of system that like observes it from outside and tries to figure out like, is this anomalous behavior or is this regular behavior? So like if you have a high level compromised credentials, you can do a lot of damage before anyone can even figure stuff out.
I mean, I know that you can actually have a lot of like good monitoring systems. I know I'm thinking about it in terms of web development, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot about like, like network stuff, but like um I know like on with Azure for example, like you can get like a lot of decent, at least decent like monitoring systems.
Mm-hmm.
So you can probably see like what is going on, what kind of action like somebody is doing on the website or like whatever. But I'm just thinking now, like hopefully, let's say in terms of, let's bring it on to web development now. What are some of the things that we can do, like we can actually have to prevent this kind of things, Because I'm thinking of it like, as a developer or anyone who works in a tech company or any company, to be honest, because we always have this like trainings and like stuff like, oh yeah, don't open emails that you don't know about, like don't do this, like, but I don't think anyone is perfect, I don't know how safe this thing is, but I know some of the things that the IT companies, IT departments does, mostly they do like everyday cleanups, like on your computer, like they wipe your browsing stuff and like every day. Like they try to, I mean, I don't know about every company, but at least like this is a norm where I am right now.
Right,
So
right. Well, I think that like ultimately security and usability are like the opposite ends of that particular seesaw. So if you go all out on security, the usability is just gonna be in the crapper. Like if I'm a developer and every day my Chrome, like everything, like all of my bookmarks, all of my tabs, all of my history is gone, I have to like logging into every site. I'd quit that job like next week because this is just gonna be so painful. It's like
what?
screw that. There's just like there's no way, you know.
Well, if it is
I
what
mean,
it is.
even right, like I was at the company and they went for a thing where like every time you do anything, you have to do this two-factor authentication, and I'm kind of like used to it by now. But originally, it was such a drag. It's like for every
Yeah.
tiny thing, you have to open your phone, and you know that I don't know, you're using Azure, right? So you're probably seeing
Hmm.
that Microsoft login window.
Hmm.
It's like
Hmm.
remember me and do not show it again. Yeah, that's like the biggest lie of 2024 and 2025 on the internet, because that
Yeah,
window is gonna appear again like 5 minutes later. It doesn't
yeah,
not give a shit that you don't want to see it again.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like, oh man.
yeah.
So
But
yeah,
it's the trade-off, I believe. I would take this over waking up one day realizing that I'm the one who clicked the.
no, that is fair. That is fair, and that's why a lot of it, it's like, and as you said, nobody's perfect. You can train people on cybersecurity, but man, like operational security is a really, really, really tough business because for the person on the, or not even the person, but like for the entity on the defensive side, it takes like one slip up. You know,
Mhm.
all you need is one. So and the adversaries can try. They can fail a billion times and not care, but if they succeed just once, that's kind of game over. Well, I mean, not directly like that, but because they need to like infiltrate the system. They need to like make a foothold, try to move laterally to like switch to other systems, like obtain different credentials. So it's a process. Like once you're in, it's not like, you know, in a hacker movie. It's just like I'm in,
You
you
know
know.
what? That's exactly what I'm thinking about right now because I'm actually trying to like think about like what exactly is the motivation here? Like why? Why would you want to like I mean, I get like maybe for networks, but like telecommunication companies because you get a lot of things, you can get access to like a lot of data.
Yeah.
But let's say just a regular startup company like that is just building. I mean, it depends on what they're working on, but I'm just thinking like what exactly is like
Well, I mean, you can have all sorts of different things that you can do once you're in
motivations,
there, right? Like
like
for
what?
instance, so one scary thought is that, you know, before, I guess, like early days of hacking, it was just individuals having fun without necessarily malicious intent, or maybe like ripping off your phone company for long distance charges because you
Yeah,
know they
yeah.
did not have like countrywide coverage where you can just call anyone for free. um and then later on, you know, we had like all the malware attacks and crypto lockers or things like that, where you essentially ransom a company for money. Ultimately, it's all about money. So before, if you're like an attacker and you manage to infect somebody and
Hmm.
manage to get money out of them, okay, you win. These days, people start to specialize. Like there's groups that will hack into your system, establish like their foothold, develop it somewhat, without really doing anything that would like announce their presence, and then sell access to somebody else who knows then what to do with it. Like they're not trying to play all of, like they're not trying to be as vertically integrated. It's like, okay, we're gonna break in, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna exfil data, we're gonna install like a crypto locker, and then we ransom it, and then we get paid. It's like, no, we just focus on breaking in and holding the door open, and then pay, like getting somebody else to pay us to let them in and do whatever they want to do, right? And like there's this all these, it's kind of like hybrid warfare. It's like not only you provide them access, but you maybe install some malware into it, so later on when those guys are done, now you're like, well, they got something out of it, now it's time for us to kick it up a notch. And then like, so it's scary, man. It's really scary.
You know what? I have this like very interesting question for you. So, I mean, we talked about it like one time ago, like where you stand with like VPNs and stuff like this. But how recently, just for context, I was looking into like a series of like VPNs and like what they all offer, and then I was comparing it. Like I was doing like some analysis for security stuff, like with some of the security measures that you already have like on your PC, on your laptops, maybe for Mac or for Windows. Like for example, in Windows, you have like maybe Windows
Defender.
Security, you have like Windows Defender, stuff like this. So I was trying to see what each one of them bring. And there was one that actually got my attention. So for example, Surfshark, they actually like they have like some tools for stuff like this, but they actually offer something very different from like Windows Defender, for example.
Right.
And now I'm thinking like in all of this security stuff that we're talking about, if you want to be the guy that wants to be like, oh yeah, I'm security conscious now, like do you think like you should be the guy like is looking into like getting a VPN, getting an antivirus, like getting a...
See, that's a weird thing. I think you don't really need to. If you're security, like, I don't know. I don't know if I say it, if it'll just expose me to various people trying to hack into my shit, but like on my Windows machine, I just have the built-in Windows Defender, and then I just don't click OK on pop-ups that appear. And like, I mean, okay, fair enough. I run slightly elevated security posture, I would say, because normally when I browse, I have the extension called UMatrix, which is like a very advanced script blocker where you actually have to explicitly whitelist specific scripts on specific domains. It's kind of a pain in the ass to use, because normally if you just have it on and you visit any site, it's just completely broken because like none of the scripts run, everything's completely busted. And then you kind of develop this intuition about it's like, okay, well, I need to enable this, this, and this, and the rest of it can go to hell because it's probably various trackers and all that other garbage. And if you kind of have your set of the websites that you browse on a daily, you just persist those settings and then those sites work for you. And any random site you visit is not going to be able to just execute random ass scripts on it. So that prevents a lot of garbage from coming in. Like running ad blockers is usually a good idea, even though they're trying really hard to make it as difficult as possible. And yeah, just built-in antivirus does decent enough job that like you don't need to buy McAfee that's gonna make your system run like crap, or like Norton antivirus. Like those things are just terrible. They try to cross-sell you on like all these security products, and I think most people who are security conscious probably don't use any of them. They just exercise, higher levels of awareness in terms of operational security, and don't click on any random stuff that comes in. Like, be very diligent with your emails that you open and all these other things. I think if you get hit by like some 0 day, well, there's not really much you can do, because a lot of these 0 days are now effectively interaction free. Like, your phone just receives an iMessage with some payload that exploits some vulnerability in some image compression algorithm, and you don't even have to tap on it. It's just like some code in the operating system like runs through it and gets corrupted. Like, no amount of operational security besides like not turning on your phone can really save you from that one. So, and
What
again,
about
it's
all
like,
this?
are you a target of a script kiddie, or you're a target of state sponsored security service that's like trying to own your shit? Because in the case of the latter, like you're fucked. Like forget about it. There's nothing you can do.
Just surrender already, huh? Just,
I
just give
mean,
up.
like with stuff like, I guess Stingray is probably not really that big of a deal these days. But like, if somebody installs a fake base tower near your house, and your cell phone connects to it, and they can track you through that way, or maybe if you have some vulnerable baseband on your phone, they can send some data to your phone that will like do some random shit. Because I don't know, not many people know, but there's like a whole separate computer inside your phone that's called the baseband, and that's the thing that talks to the cellular chip that's doing all the talking to the base tower. It's completely isolated from your main phone. Well, not completely, because it still needs to communicate. And those things are so
Yeah.
highly proprietary, nobody really knows what's running on it and what it can do. So like, if you have one of those things in your pocket, there's a whole other computer in it that you don't control. Even if you root it, even if you install custom OS, custom firmware on it, the baseband is still sits in there and does things you have no idea about.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
So do we give up our phones or what? Like, you know what? There is a lot to be worried about. You know what? If you don't know, there is something they call like bliss, ignorance. Ignorance is
Ignorance
bliss.
is
Like,
bliss. Yes.
yeah, like
You're just
if
like,
you don't,
you're the three monkeys, like see nothing, hear nothing, and say nothing, you know?
I'm telling you, like nowadays, knowing what I know now, like I feel like, yeah, you would rather just want to do like keep yourself safe, especially if you're the type of person like you spend a lot of time on the internet and you do a lot of things on the internet, like you cannot really like run away from these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like building a house with no fence, like yeah, like I mean,
Well, yeah, that's a
I
fair
mean,
point. Like, just because, like, okay, fair enough. Like, some state-sponsored, some three-letter agency can probably own your shit in a matter of a couple of minutes. That does not mean that you shouldn't put like a lock on your door.
exactly, you know what I'm
Because,
saying? Like
yeah.
now this is the question, yeah. Like so what else, what do you consider to be, for example, you mentioned McAfee, and then I was trying to think about it. Like I thought, and I in the stuff I was doing, um, there were some a list of antiviruses like that came to mind. Like for example, McAfee.
Mm-hmm.
There was also Bitdefender. I think AVG and like Surfshark. Apparently, they have like an antivirus as well,
Mm.
malware stuff. And I was thinking to myself, like, if we have, and then I realized, like, you know what? VPN now is an industry on its own. Like, there is a lot of VPNs, a lot of companies who come out to say, like, they have VPNs.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you even know the good one? Like, how do you even figure out which one is which one?
So I guess it depends
Because,
on what you use it for. If you just use it to like watch Netflix from US,
that's
probably
the
just
good one.
buy a cheap VPS in US and like run it through there. Even though like Netflix is being really good at like detecting people who try to like watch their shit. I mean, there's nothing good on Netflix anyway, so who cares? But like if you're just using it to kind of change your location, because I think I said it in a previous episode, is that like a lot of the claims that all of these VPN companies make influencers read in their ad reads on their videos are so full of shit. So completely full of shit. It's like, oh, we
Yeah.
protect you from tracking. We do this,
Mm-hmm.
we do that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, you
Mm-hmm.
don't. No, you
Super
don't.
speed internet.
Huh?
Super speed. They also promise like super speed internet. Like
Yeah, I
it's
don't even
not.
know how they figured that one out. Because if I can get from point A to point B, it's going to be faster than if I have to go through point C because I have to use one of their exit nodes. Like maybe these days, I guess they run a lot of servers and they like collocate a lot of them, so you
It's not
probably
the
can
same
get
thing.
like similar type hop. But like if you want to watch if you want to watch something from US, you have to use an US exit node, which means your traffic first have to get to the US exit node and then to the thing. So it's not like anyway. So even that claim, you can kinda technically agree with it by saying like if they have a lot of exit nodes all over the place and they can route you in a smart way so you're not like making massive detours, you wouldn't get faster internet than you do normally because it still has to go through an extra hop.
It's not faster than what you have.
It's not faster than
it
what
could
you
be-
have. It may be
it-
as fast as what you have, but it's never going to be faster than what you have. That doesn't make sense from just high school geometry perspective. Like the shortest path between 2 points is a straight freaking line. Like you don't have to go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of promises, but the thing is, I'm still trying. Like, what would you consider to be like? Okay, this is the best. Like, this is a good VPN for you now. If you're looking at all like the requirements, like all the specific, that's what you call it, like the
Features.
features of a VPN right now, like of a VPN application or software.
So,
Whatever
okay,
it
like,
is.
okay, for instance, again, depends on what you want to use it for. If you want to use a VPN to hide your activity,
Mhm.
for those purposes, you have to follow, where do you hide a leaf in a forest? Where do you hide a body on a battlefield? Like you have to blend in with your surroundings. Like you have to not be distinguishable. So for instance, in my case, I run my own VPN server. I have a VPS running on some cloud VPS provider. So I bought like a cheap VPS for $5 a month or $2 a month or whatever. And I installed WireGuard on it, and I can use it as one of my exit nodes. In fact, I have a VPN exit node inside my house. So if I am being remote, I can VPN through my house. So for instance, like I was at this conference and I have to connect to public Wi-Fi because I don't know, my 4G on the phone, I was tethering off my phone, but it was working like crap. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to connect to the Wi-Fi here. It's technically public Wi-Fi. I'm hopping on my VPN that routes me through my house because, like, I don't know other people on that network and how they're trying to, like, do something with my traffic. So I give myself an extra layer of protection, like I VPN inside my house and browse as if I'm home. So if you just wanted to use it to, like, all the other claims, like it saves you from tracking by Facebook and Google is complete horseshit. Like,
Is it though?
yeah, it is absolutely horseshit. The thing I'm so pissed off about is that a lot of these companies, by making those claims and making people believe those claims and making people who are far away from technology believe those claims, it's like snake oil. It's like, oh, I'm safe because I use a VPN. It's like horseshit, you're not. The fact that you believe that you are safer because you're using VPN is actually lowering your security posture. You're more vulnerable because you defer too much to it without really understanding what it does. What would be a good example?
Hold on, Vasili.
It's like you're working on a skyscraper and you're not harnessed to the tether, but you're saying, oh, it's okay, I have a hard hat. Well, if you fall off, the hard hat is not really gonna do you much good, but it gives you this false sense of confidence. You're gonna be prone to doing dumber shit because you're not properly protected, kind of like that.
Yeah, that kind of analogy makes it even feel a bit worse because now I'm just trying to figure out what do we do for the rest of us? Like, you know what? Let's just say for anyone else who is listening, who is not maybe as technical, like you just want to be safe on your computer. You just want to feel safe.
You have to understand, what are you trying to be safe from? Should be your first question that you want to ask yourself.
I give you a scenario. Let's say my granddad has a PC.
Yeah.
A scenario. Like he has a computer. And on his computer, he feels like, oh, well, sometimes the computer starts by itself and it's not even touching the computer. It just comes on. And sometimes some applications open by itself. I mean, random activity.
That is
Like it's
really not a good sign. That is really not a good sign.
random random application starts itself. I mean, it could be like on start application, like some application who that actually it could not even be malware, but now my granddad is scared.
Hmm.
Like you said, it's not a good sign. Like I wanna keep my computer safe.
Right.
I
Well, I
want to make
mean,
sure like I'm safe.
VPN is
So
not really gonna see.
in this scenario, should he be looking at a VPN?
In this
Should he be looking
scenario,
at
in this scenario,
antivirus or sell the computer entirely? Just throw it out.
see, I think in this case, actually, you're laughing, but if your granddad is only using the computer to like browse the news, read the email, and maybe occasionally Skype with his family, rip Skype again, by the way, uh, he probably would be much better off with a tablet because tablets are extremely locked down. It's really hard to do anything on a tablet of that sort. Again, unless he gets hit by 0-day by Israeli special forces or something like that, then
I think it depends on the tablet too, though,
no. I mean,
because
if you're running a Surface or an iPad or an Android tablet, Android maybe if it's a newer one. Like older ones and cheap ones, don't run like cheap Chinese Android tablets because you buy it already hacked from the factory. You already like owned before you even unpacked it. It was already owned.
built-in hacked.
Yeah. No, you're laughing, but that's actually what happens. Like because there's like all these no-name brands being sold on like Amazon and AliExpress, and people did some analysis. A lot of these like there's like these various TV sticks, Android-based TV sticks that you can buy for like $30 on AliExpress. They come pre-installed with malware. Pre-installed with malware.
Oh, you know, you know what? You know what? It's good. Honestly, I'm really enjoying our conversation here because I feel like this is something that everyone can relate to. Because I saw that on the Amazon like 2 days ago, right? And then I was thinking to myself, you know what? I already don't like the smart TV. You know, like you buy like the when you buy like small smart TVs, like the one that you probably like have in the office or something, and it comes pre-installed with its own like OS and stuff like this, so you cannot really do much with it. So I was thinking, you know what? Maybe I should buy one of those sticks. And I saw it. It was like $30. And I was like, oh, but it's Amazon though. Like, do you not think it should be safe?
Dude, there's so much. No, dude. No. I mean, Amazon.
It's not Chinese. It's
Amazon
Fire Stick.
is notorious for ignoring like reports of like, dude. Some people on Amazon were selling these energy shield crystal mumbo jumbo bullshit that literally contained radioactive freaking material in them, and they got reported to Amazon a bunch of times, and like people were literally like irradiating themselves because it's like, well, attach it to your phone, it will protect you from 5G. So they would like apply this thing on a phone and then like put it right next to their face, basically like having radiation right next to their brain. They were selling that stuff on Amazon, and it took like some massive internet uproar for them to actually like investigate it and get rid of it from there. So when it comes to like a $30 cheap Chinese Android TV dongle that comes pre-installed with malware, like forget about it. Just they're not gonna do jack.
Oh. Vasili, that's a very you should say allegedly. Allegedly. You should say
Allegedly. But once you peek the curtain of the world of security, you either run screaming for the hills or you're braver men than most, because it's scary out there, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I actually like one of the reasons why, I mean, sometimes like for just because of aesthetics or whatever, sometimes you probably need to have like a smart TV, but I fear TV a lot, like the smart TVs.
As you should. The amount of data that thing collects about you and then sells off to advertisers is crazy.
Especially the ones that comes with like Google,
Like Android
what is,
TV, like you mean like
yeah,
Chromecast or whatever?
yeah, the one that comes with like the Hey Google thing. Like
Oh,
what is
like
it called?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
no,
Google Home.
absolutely, absolutely. And
Cause,
it's really hard to buy a non-smart TV these days. And we talked about it previously, like
hmm
last episode or one before last,
yeah,
because it's
and that's why
just, yeah.
I'm really thinking about like what is supposed to be the solution. Because like for us, we get like at least we have like a little bit of like insight on what to do, what not to do, things to trust and not to trust. But like my granddad now, my
Right,
granddad just wants to live a modern life. Like
right,
he's
right.
just trying to get by his life.
So
Like,
in case
how
of
do we help my
granddad
granddad?
specifically, I would say there's two options. You can do what I do, and you can deploy remote access tools on his computer.
Mhm.
So, for instance, like for most of my family members, I use this system called DWS service, which is like a remote access thing. You can deploy an agent onto their machine, and it's not like they have a free version and they have a paid version. Paid version basically gives you better bandwidth, so it like you
Mhm.
get high resolutions and it's faster. And unlike TeamViewer, it like you can use it on pretty much whatever. Because TeamViewer is like, oh my god, you're using Windows 2000 Server Edition. You're an enterprise. Get them, pay us money, right? Even though like whatever. And I deployed it to my parents' computers. So whenever they have any kind of computer
Mm,
issue, I can just connect to it and diagnose it as if I'm there. This way, if
okay.
anything weird is happening, your granddad can call on his grandson, and you get to spend more time with your grandparents, which you should. Connect with them that way. I have a slight suspicion that a lot of times when my dad calls me about his computer problems, he just wants to talk, to be honest with you. And I kind of feel bad for like not talking enough, but that's a whole other thing. So you can
Well,
do that, or
mhm.
you can go for a highly locked down environment like an iPad. It's much harder to mess up because, dude, let me tell you, like I've been doing kind of like this friends and family tech support plan for people for a really long time. And
Tech support.
if you can't not get into it, don't, because it's not worth it. I'm telling you. Like I would come in. It was like my parents' friends. They asked me about like our computer runs slow. Can you do something about it? That was like 10, 15 years. That was a while ago. I would come in and I would see like Internet Explorer with like 12 different toolbars on it, like random shit running in the background. And I'm like, how did you manage to accumulate this zoo of all of this trash? Like, what do you even do? Like, do you click OK on everything that just pops up randomly without reading? I would
Of
like
course.
clean it all out, put like different browser. I would install Firefox those days. These days, I don't know. Put like ad blocker on it. Change the shortcut so whenever they click on Internet Explorer window, Firefox would pop up, but they don't really care because they just want to type in google.com and search for whatever they want. But
Ooh,
then it
that's
would at
smart.
least have an ad
That's
block
smart.
on it because back in those days you could not install any kind of ad blocker on Internet Explorer. On Edge these days you can, but it's Chrome Manifest version 3, so it sucks ass. Actually, I don't know. Is Edge still on Manifest v2? Edge may still be on Manifest v2, but that's not going to
I
last
think
long.
you can install an ad blocker on the Edge.
Right, but Chrome basically made it very limited in the new versions of Chrome, so it's not as good anymore.
Honestly, I don't know this one. I don't know the domain very well, but yeah, I
But
know
anyway,
you can
so
install it.
like, but what I'm saying that's besides the point, because what I'm saying is I would clean it up, get rid of everything, install like an antivirus, update it, scan it, like fix a bunch of stuff, get rid of all these stupid toolbars.
Mhm.
Like 2 months later, oh, our computer is running slow. I come back, basically back to how it
Sick.
was. I'm like, Jesus, just can you not click OK on everything, please? Just
Mhm.
actually read
Yeah.
it. But English is not their native language. They don't understand. They may click something and without reading and do something and like they just don't have the proper appreciation for this thing. And I cannot really blame them for it. It's just very tedious. So for people who are not necessarily understanding how to operate this thing so you don't get owned, just get them a freaking tablet, man. Like, even if you get like something like Surface, Windows S, like the S edition, which is like locked down to all hell, like can't do much about it. It's locked down basically tighter than a monastery.
You know what? This is good advice. And now I'm thinking about it, like, it does this kind of like security. I mean, I know like MacBook comes with like Apple generally, like they come with like some level of security, but how in 2025, like how well do you still trust it? Some people buy MacBooks because they say it has better security than Windows.
I think, I mean, it definitely, I would say like 20 years ago, you could say, oh, I'm using Mac or I'm using Linux and there's no viruses for it. And that was mostly true, mostly because Windows was a dominant platform. So, like, if you have 9,990 people that you can extort, and then 10 people, 3 of whom use Linux, and then 7 use Mac OS, like, you're not going to even bother writing viruses for that platform because there's not too many of them. But now that they're proliferated so ubiquitously, I'm pretty sure there's exploitation methods for all of those platforms. So again, it really comes down to like personal hygiene, not going to random websites and clicking on random pop-ups, and just exercising cautiousness. But sometimes it's a lot to ask, and you can't really do much about it. And in that case, go with a lockdown platform like an iPad. If all they do is just email, chat, Facebook, and Netflix, iPad's plenty.
And it's even mobile too. Like they can move it around.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
It is. You like.
You can.
It'll be a more peace of mind. And the thing too is, a lot of older people these days get owned through social engineering. And a lot of it is actually it's like, oh, they see some pop-up on a website saying, oh, this is Microsoft, call this number. And I mean, it's better if it's an iPad, because you cannot install remote administration tools like these scammers do on an iPad to get access to your web banking, right? It's just like, it's not a thing. Because if they're running Windows and they can install like any desk and give them access to their entire computer, like that's it, game over. So you can educate them on like the social engineering aspects of it, but you can only go so far, because these people, they have these like scripts that are basically, it's like high pressure sales tactics where they really press you. They don't really give you an opportunity to think about what's going on, and they steer you toward what they want you to do.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
This is exactly how it happens.
So, but that is the like the meat problem. It has nothing to do with computer hardware. Like, if they manage to get into your head and make you do the things that you do, no amount of antivirus is gonna help you. Like, so
this is very true, and it's true just even outside of this context, because even when I mean,
get your grandparents. Is DVD even a thing anymore? I was gonna say get them the DVD of Beekeeper with Jason Statham, because Beekeeper, while being kind of a mindless, explodey, kick your ass action flick with Jason Statham doing what he does best, is just like blowing shit up and kicking people, it portrays how social engineering of that nature works really, really well. I gotta give him props. I believe I brought it up a few episodes ago and I gave him props then. It's like, Beekeeper portrays how this shit works really well. So get them to watch it. I mean, it's a violent movie with a lot of explosions and fights and action scenes. But it has this thing about like...
Granddad don't watch that. Granddad don't watch that.
So yeah.
But, yeah, I mean... It's good. Like, at least we get to talk about things like this to have some good insights. And I guess we shouldn't click on that random what's that thing? Tax tax, you know those tax fraud, like those tax links, like oh yeah,
Oh
you
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah,
been,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
just don't click on anything. And you know,
yeah.
don't go on spicy sites. Well, the
Wow.
thing is like like regular ad networks sometimes get compromised and they have like malicious JavaScript payloads served through some like legitimate-ish advertisement network. So like at least run an ad blocker. I know they're making it really hard, but run an ad blocker, please, for the love of God. Get like uBlock Origin. I don't know if it's gonna work in the new version of Chrome. There's like a uBlock Origin Lite, which is Manifest v3 compliant. So at least get that. It'll prevent, like, I can't say how much, but it's gonna prevent a lot. Like, you can sleep better knowing that you have that there. It's not gonna protect you from everything. The problem with these things is that like there's nothing there that will protect you from everything unless you like turn off your computer and chuck it out the window and then take the SIM card out of your phone and chuck that out the window.
You know what? I didn't get an answer from you. I remember now. Like, you know, what happens to my granddad's computer? You remember the granddad's computer?
Mm-hmm.
The one that um some application starts on its own.
Yeah.
What should granddad chuck it out? Or throw out the computer? Or
See,
install an
that's
antivirus on it?
the that's the thing too. I think we're kind of starting to get a bit in the weeds, and we're probably should be wrapping up soon because it's been almost an
Yeah.
hour. But there are viruses that are able to persist themselves through the magic of UEFI, so that even if you like completely wipe and reinstall your operating system, they can still come back. I can't say that that's the case, but at least get some remote access tools and poke around and see if there's anything weird and out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or is he back home or is he in Canada?
It's a fictional story.
Okay, okay. I thought that was your actual grandfather with shit opening
No,
up
no,
on its
no,
own.
no.
Maybe he has a
No,
ghost, so he needs an exorcist first of all.
well, we are looking at everything is on the table,
Ghost,
you know.
ghost in the machine, as they say.
Everything is on the table. But yeah, it's really nice that we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing. It was really nice, very educative. Listener, honestly, the more you learn about security stuff, especially in these days of like high intensity internet usage, like
Yeah.
you will be really worried. Like
You
will
would be really worried, yeah. It's kind of scary and exciting at the same time. So, you know, as a checklist, at least install uBlock, don't trust VPNs, and watch Beekeeper. Your security posture as a regular Joe will be like a step above everybody else if you do those things.
Yeah, Beekeeper. They should sponsor.
Yeah,
They
should
really sponsor. Yeah. Yeah.
All
Anyway,
right.
thank you, Vasili.
Yep. With that in mind, I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.